Good morning. How is everyone doing? Crazy times in the world right now. So many scary things happening. You turn on the news and pick a station, and there's some just craziness. And then, if you have anything to do with the streets at all, you look out there and you go, holy crap. It's just like everything's imploding. It's like all the evil shit and all the bad shit that's like happening in the world is getting the consequence of its actions. Like people are starting to get pissed off about different things. You know, I wouldn't be surprised at some point if our government goes in and takes out Mexico just because of the cartels and all the bullshit. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, plus a world war going on? God, there's a lot of scary things going on, right? So I wanted to make a video about gratitude. I thought that that was the perfect, from my philosophical point of view, the perfect energy to put back into just what the hell is going on outside. And I wanted to just use the war as an example because I got some harsh truths to speak on this morning. They're just mine. Remember, every time you tune in, it's just me talking. You know, I don't even write it down. I sit down and I hit the go button, and then I start talking about it, and whatever I feel is on my heart. That's where it's at with it. And so not having to script something makes it a lot easier to speak truth because if I only have my own personal truth to speak, and somehow, even though it's all weird or different angles, it seems to all fall together, then at least I'm speaking my truth, right? And for that right there, I am grateful. The ability to speak my own truth. It's powerful. It's very powerful to sit down and think about, let's just say whoever you're dating, let's say you're dating someone. Do they allow you to speak your truth in a positive and kind way that they grow with you from? Gratitude. Are you grateful for the people in your life and the space they hold for you? Gratefulness. Oh, I like this subject. I'm already liking this subject. It's like there's not just one way to view the world. The trap is like the for instance that I used and all the scary things going on. You can't be grateful if you're afraid. You can't find the joy in the littlest things if they've put a big fear in front of you. And I don't mean they as some government conspiracy. I mean as a generalization of a situation. Remember, I said I'm using this as an example. It doesn't mean that I feel that the whole world's against us and everybody's part of a cabal, and I don't have any delusions as that. Nor am I a conspiracy theorist. Despite believing some radical thought processes, it's only based on the amount of documentation and evidence where there's all these random coincidences that make it look like it could have been truth, except there's just a few things that are like, no, this makes it not true no matter all that other stuff doesn't matter. I'm grateful for the discernment to see the difference between the two. You can tell me something, but I'm going to research it. If I didn't already know about it, which is often, then I'm going to go research. I'm grateful for that. And this comes clear back to being a kid and being isolated so much. And I found an entire another universe of my imagination by reading books. I love fantasy adventure books. Oh man, did I ever. The Wheel of Time, The Sword of Truth, Dragonlance. Oh, the list goes on and on and on. So many books, and most of them, a lot of them are from the 80s. Like there were weird names and old series and things that you're like, you don't really see it too much anymore. Everybody nowadays is trying to come up with the next Harry Potter. Like, that's weird to me. I used to scour libraries with the oldest books. and read all of them. I'm grateful for that because that's what created the imagination that I hold to this day. You go, oh, you hold, yeah. Someday, if we ever get a chance to meet, or for some reason I sell any of my art, you can see some paintings that I've done. And the paintings that I've done, the only one that does them like I do, and they're not terrible, or you're like, well, they're so. I do these most amazing 3D paintings with acrylic paints, and then when you change the light spectrum over them, it changes what part of the color that you see, or if it changes the color because it was a mix, and now that you mix the two, like you mix green and orange, it becomes brown. Well, imagine on a painting that the brown existed because the artist understood green needed to be underneath orange to a certain degree to create the brown in the middle. And before you try to say I sound crazy, sometimes people think I'm crazy. There's a 4-dot system, and you use 4 contrasting or contracting colors to either create some type of depth, either farther in the painting or farther out of the painting. This is just the 4-dot system. It's math. It's 4 complementing or contrasting colors. And the way that I do paintings is I found that if I do 3 clusters of these, then I start adding in how the clusters work together, that you can create a 3D image in the painting itself based just on the way that we perceive light and the way that we see color and how deep a color looks compared. Like there's just a scientific chart on it. This isn't some mumbo jumbo hoobly doobly. And so I just use 3 4-dot systems and rotate them as I need to as I do my art. And so if nothing else, now that you've heard all the ideas, and like we're talking 350 layers on a painting. I spend a lot of time painting. That's why when I reference like this is my joy, this is my my give back to the world. Like it's dark and it just is not happy, and so like I'm grateful I'm alive because it's still beautiful. The sunrises and sunsets are still beautiful. Sitting quietly by a lake is still amazingly peaceful and tranquil. And if at some point in time war comes to where I am, it won't be like that anymore. And I've just been really appreciating and being grateful for just being in a situation. And I know that sounds crazy, especially if like you're homeless or something, right? But how about when that person gives you that $20 and you needed it? Because like even if you needed a drink, something, that initial feeling of feeling grateful, of even if it was in the moment. My argument from philosophical standpoint is that those moments exist in every moment. And the more we can find it, the more we sustain this idea of gratitude for life. Gratitude for life, just for being alive, for even having the opportunity to even experience life. Gratitude. And I wanted to talk to you guys about it. And I wanted to express my gratitude in so many different ways that I could think of. Because to me, the most important thing that has helped me continue to be a good human being, regardless of external circumstances, people I might be friends with, no matter what, no matter what the situation, I stay grateful. And if I'm not, it's one of the greatest ways to like, like when you go bowling, but you're not very good at it. So they put the side bumpers up. And even if your bowling ball just kind of just wings off to the left or goes off to the right, it'll bounce back and keep going down the lane and at least hit one pin. No matter what, as long as the bumpers are up, you're hitting one pin. Okay? And for me, as a human being, in trying to be grateful, I've still got the bumpers up. That's where I'm at with life. Is like Okay, I'm starting to get in these mindsets. I'm stressing. I'm not standing in my river. I'm not being grateful. I got to come back over here. I got to get back over here. And it's almost like psychologically, if you practice this for 61 days, that you start to catch yourself when you start to go too far and you like jumped lanes and went in somebody else's lane. Like, I know it's a little sliding scale analogy, but I've seen people wing it down the thing and go right over a bumper. Yeah, they were drunk, but they did it. A runaway bowling ball is scary for everyone involved. It ruins multiple games across the lanes. You get kicked out of the bowling alley. There's a whole bunch of things that happen. One runaway bowling ball. So I've just been staying grateful. I don't know how else to say it except just say it directly to you. Gratefulness. Gratefulness sometimes is being grateful that you cried. That you carried on to something and hung on to something for so long, and then one day you just busted down and cried your eyes about it. You just sat in the misery and the sadness and how you made it feel, and you just cried it out. You should be grateful for yourself for doing that for yourself in your journey to understand yourself. That's beautiful. It's like a miracle. I don't know how else to explain it to you, and I don't know what people think of miracles, changing wine to or water to wine, and which you could do that with some fruit, some sugar, and some yeast. You can change water into wine all day long. Pick your container. Let's get started. I think parables are more important as a concept instead of an actuality. And I think that it's really hard for people to stay grateful if they take what a concept could be and turn it into a rigid actuality that it's not. And then when it fails, when they hold that expectation and it fails, there's no path to gratefulness. It's almost like a lot of things are just a mental lesson for you. Like, how many times are you going to let this person get under your skin before you just kind of smirk and laugh about it? You ever got in a situation like that where should have bothered you, it should have just made you mad, and instead you're like, hmm, that's what I'm working on right now is a, hmm, really, you don't say all that too? Hmm. I'm trying to develop my gratefulness for life lessons. And so I thought I'd come talk to you guys about it because I'm sure somebody's got to argue with me, right? There's got to be somebody out there that's like, nah, you're wrong. You're on the wrong track here. Don't keep going with your mindset because I'm not learning nothing from this. Sure, there's got to be at least one of you. But being grateful, this idea of being grateful, of being joyous in everything that happens in your life because you're alive. We don't really talk about it like that, do we? We don't talk about life like that. We don't use the words that lead to gratefulness. You ever notice that too? Like the words that you use? I cuss a lot. A lot of people probably are emotionally distraught or turned off by the rough way that I use language. I think it's hilarious. I've talked about being a trigger intentionally and consciously knowing how I'm affecting people, and it's almost like sonar, like you walk around and you just be joyous and you be happy and you be helpful. And when you see it starting to bother people, you turn it up. And then it really annoys them. Then you turn it up some more. And then they show you who they are. You know what happens when you're joyous and happy and helpful around a good person, somebody that cares about life and is grateful? They get in the same mood you are. It boosts them up. They become like you. It just becomes this echo of just even better energy and more happiness. And have you ever seen that? Have you ever done that for people? Have you ever got caught up where you just met somebody and they're smiling and happy and you don't even know why you're happy and you're just like, man, and then you go tell a joke, somebody else is happy. Like this is all centered in just being grateful. Like, if you're not grateful that you're going through something, how can you learn anything from it? If it just happened to you and you're a victim, how can you be grateful for being a victim? For feeling like you had your power stolen from you, for feeling like somebody put you down or put you in a smaller box than you were, put light on you that wasn't yours. Like, what if? What if you're just like grateful that person showed you who they are? What if you just get grateful for people being honest with you, even if it's through their pain? It kind of hurts my brain too, so don't worry. You're not the only one trying to wipe that cobweb off, trying to figure. What did you just say? Because it kind of made sense, but I don't. What the fuck, kid? You know that kind of energy right there. Because it's just like yesterday when I was talking about if you give to somebody, give them some extra, give them a smile and some encouragement, and just some positive energy on top of giving them whatever it was that they wanted. Give more than they asked for, not so they feel obligated to you. They feel so good about it that they decide to pass that emotion forward. You got to put enough there so it just doesn't sustain them, but it also is an overabundance. So then they're like, man, you know what this guy did for me? And so check it out. This is what we're going to go do. You know how many epic stories have been written on that energy right there? Just from somebody giving a little bit extra because they just, why not? Smiles are free. I can give them out all day. I got a goofy one. It's a good one. Like, you can't help but smile because I'm smiling. Because it's just, I'm grateful that you thought it was funny that my goofy looking face is that kind of energy that makes you happy. Who cares if it's goofy looking? I can't see it unless I look in a mirror. And every time I look in a mirror, how do I express to you that I love art? How do I express to you that my philosophies include and are not limited to all of us being limitless and having the universal everything within all of us? How would one go about doing that? How do I get you to see my tattoo as I see my tattoo? How do you see shape instead of color? How do you see edges instead of limitless concepts within the edges? How come you guys don't understand how grateful I am that I have a giant face tattoo on my face? That's one I'm still working on and trying to figure out, and meanwhile holding on to the absolute love of my face tattoo. And I've always been an artist, even when I needed to have a job and be serious before, health got to the. You know what I used to do? You're looking at a union welder. You're looking at somebody that can run a weld 3, 4, and 5G certified. Thousands of hours on a TIG welder. And I haven't, or no, MIG welder. I haven't done a lot of TIG because I haven't done pipe welding too much. But I'm a beast on aluminum. And if you weld, you know what's up. And so, like, it's always been creation for me. That's always been it. And I don't even know why other than tell you I'm grateful for it. Because I probably couldn't run one for very long, bending over in the weird directions you need to sometimes to weld things. I couldn't keep up. I wouldn't be an asset to the team. And I don't know how you feel about when you work, but I have like this code in my head where like I show up for the job, we're doing the job. Like we're getting it done. We're not hesitating. We're not messing around. I'm doing it the best of my ability as fast as I can go and maintain all day long. Not putts out in an hour, like full work. Get her done. That's just always been work ethic. That's what happens when you grow up working long hours. When before you're 12, you've already worked a 40-hour work week. That's truth. You can't undo that programming. And I don't think I'd want to. I'm pretty grateful for it, despite where I had to get the lesson from. I like to be, I'm proud of my ability to see a job all the way through. And I don't think that's a bad pride. I don't think that's an ego thing. I'm just grateful that I got this thing inside me that, like, it's like having a boss in your head. So, like, the second you want to slow down, or it's this or it's that, it's like this voice in my head. And I don't mean I'm crazy. I mean, like, you just inner spirit, and you just, what are you gonna do? Be lazy? You gonna keep being lazy? Is this who you are? Is this how you work, huh? You want people to see that this is who you are as a human being. This is how much worth. And boy, is it light a fire into my ass, and I double down, and, like, just something, just a tool in the box. And I'm grateful for that. I got kids. I can't tell you how grateful I am for my children. In fact, you could say that when my first child was born, I found a piece of my heart that I didn't know I didn't have. And by the time the second child had come through, despite all the craziness and all the pain and all the nonsense, I got the other half of the piece of the heart that I didn't know I didn't have. And I am so grateful to those kids. They're like this light that helps my light inside grow. You know what I mean? They've already taught me so much in things that I need to work on as a human being, like old behavior patterns, just the way I talk about things that I may have glorified in the past, anything that, like, is anti-productive to breaking curses of generation. And what I mean by that is, like, just because I had a rough life and just because I went through a bunch of things doesn't mean they have to experience any of them or even really hear about them, unless for some reason later in life they make their own decisions that lead into similar circumstances. But my job as a parent, that I learned, is to teach them love, unconditional love, and knowledge and kindness, and be there absolutely when they're just being kids, and be like, listen, we're all sitting down and we're talking about this right now because I can't have this behavior pattern because this is going to cause this for you. And I don't want you to have to go through that. And I'm not going to tell you how to be, but I'm going to really lecture you on what it is that you're starting to create for yourself. And so far, regardless of how it's been working, and I don't know if it works anywhere else, but when my kids are with me, it does work, and it works 100% of the time. And I've never had to hit my kids, and I've never had to scream at my kids. And, like, and even when you got your own bad things you're going through and you got to deal with emotions and everything else, when you're wrong, you have to show up and be present and acknowledge that you were wrong, and then apologize for being wrong, and then change your actions so they can absolutely still trust that if you are wrong, you will make amends and you will make it right, so they do not have to lose their trust in you as a human being and the love that you have told them that you have for them. You have no idea how grateful I am to my children for teaching me this, because it transfers to other people, to relationships, business. It doesn't matter. Like, it's this core thing that I learned, and, like, it can't be taken away. I'm grateful for every bad thing that happened to me because I got to choose if it broke me or not. You heard me right. Think about how I just said that. I chose if something broke me or not. Yeah, it hurts. Sometimes spend months just sad. Like, Sometimes you really got to process how much hurt just happened to you. That doesn't mean, you know, you don't eventually become grateful for it. And in that understanding of life, in that understanding of being grateful, I've found that the worst days aren't that bad. I've found I don't need to mask or numb or anything. The emotions that I feel are healthy. They're up front. They have to do with current things. They're not attached to old behavior patterns or old mindsets. That they're a healed version of gratitude. And you got to claim it. You got to claim it. You know what I mean? You got to really step into. And I keep failing. Who needs to lie about anything? This constant struggle to maintain the balance of gratitude. It's a hard one. I think it takes 61 days, 3 times in a row, maybe twice on Sundays and some extra stuff just to get there. It's a hard one, gratitude. But I'm full of it. I'm full of it. And so today, I just wanted to tell you that I was grateful, and I'm grateful for everybody. And like, just overabundance of gratefulness. I don't even care. And you can take as much of it as you want because I got more. That's how I feel about it right now in the moment. And even be able to talk about it in this way and share that joy and that happiness, which is one of my favorite things to do, is see somebody else smile. I love it. I'm grateful that you even showed up for the TED Talk today, and I hope you find a reason to be grateful today. I hope you find 10 reasons to be grateful for today, and I hope you don't stop doing it.